You know, you have to stop saying that you're going to move to Canada whenever you're mad at something in the US. As a Canadian, I'm sorry, but no, you can't.
The production is estimated to pump approximately $37.5 million into the community, as well as create over 1,000 jobs.
Hollywood just canceled Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds after they allegedly tried bribing Vancouver officials with a $37.5 Deadpool budget to target a paparazzo. From false claims and years of legal delays to Blake hiding a 392-page deposition and subpoenaing critics, their perfect couple facade is collapsing under relentless PR spin.
Ryan Reynolds, to attempt to influence the judge or the court and use his power in order to do so.
Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, the Pinterest perfect, fake modest, were just like you but rich duo. Just had their shiny little image shredded. All that quirky banter on talk shows, all those Instagram captions pretending they're just a normal married couple trolling each other. Yeah, turns out behind the avocado toast and filtered selfies, they were dangling a $37.5 million bribe in front of law enforcement like some bad mob movie subplot.
I believe there is something very deeply disturbed about this man. We believe his desire to photograph us exceeded only by his intention to terrorize us.
And no, I'm not talking about some petty speeding ticket payoff. This is Vancouver, 2015. Ryan and Blake allegedly offered the city the biggest Hollywood paycheck it's seen in years, not for a charity event or to build a school, but to use police and the court system as their personal hit squad against one photographer. One guy, Richard Fedek. Their egos were apparently so fragile that instead of ignoring the guy like every other celebrity with a camera shoved in their face, they decided to go full dictator mode.
The judge completely siding almost exclusively with Blake over and over and over again and ignoring factual evidence of illegal subpoenas or abusive process or whatever it is.
And here's the kicker. Judge Lyman, the referee in this legal circus, just happens to keep making calls that magically benefit Blake. Every single time. It's like watching a rigged game where you already know the scoreboard before kickoff. The rulings are so eyebrow-raising, they might as well come with a note saying, "Love Hollywood." And the public? Oh, we're supposed to just sit here and pretend it's normal that the quirky, relatable couple is running a PR hit job wrapped in Hallmark branding. Now let's talk about the smoking gun, the letter. April 2015, Ryan Reynolds, armed with a pen and an Oscar-worthy imagination, sends Vancouver police a multi-page drama piece. And when I say drama, I mean this thing could have been submitted for Best Original Screenplay. In it, Ryan plays the tragic hero, Fedek becomes the evil villain, and wait for it, Blake, baby James, and even his mother, Tamara Lee Reynolds, all make cameo appearances. Not because they were in actual danger, but because it makes Ryan sound like the noble family man fighting to protect his girls from the big bad paparazzo. If you can't win with facts, just tug on the heartstrings, right?
While it may be determined conjecture throughout the years, he has always imbued a sense of arrogance and glee in his behavior. I have been working in the entertainment industry for 25 years, and I have a very long history in association with navigating public life and all it entails. Paparazzi is a byproduct of the job. I don't enjoy that aspect, but I understand it. I don't complain about it, nor do I have an expectation that people might understand how awkward and invasive it all can be.
The accusations? Reckless car chases, stalking, harassment. You'd think Fedek was auditioning for the Fast and Furious franchise the way Ryan tells it. The problem? Most of it was proven false. Travel records straight up contradicted key parts of Ryan's story. It's like telling the cops you saw someone rob your house while security footage shows you were the one holding the bag. But that didn't stop Ryan from framing every event like it was part of some Marvel storyline, except here, there were no stunt doubles, no CGI explosions, just a whole lot of zero credible evidence.
Why I might have photos taken while out in public. However, it is unusual to be engaged by a photographer who is simultaneously driving a vehicle in this manner.
And if you thought this was just about an innocent family seeking safety, buckle up. The whole war started because someone snapped a photo of Ryan in full Deadpool Burns makeup before the movie was released. That's it. That's the crime of the century in Ryan's world. A makeup shot. Apparently, having your movie character's face spoiled online justifies a multi-year vendetta. Ryan went from Canada's favorite wisecracking export to a guy obsessively writing legal fan fiction about bushes, hotels, and imaginary high-speed chases.
I know we're friendly, but Canada's not your safe house. I mean, we barely let Canadians into Canada anymore, so please, pick somewhere else. I hear Finland is really lovely this time of year.
This makeup meltdown spiraled fast. Ryan claims Fedek was hiding behind bushes, lurking in hotel hallways, and following them at dangerous speeds. Except again, real evidence shows that half the time Fedek wasn't even in the same city. One especially creative lie had Fedek chasing them from Sudbury to Toronto. Except Fedek was chilling in Vancouver at the time, so either this guy teleports, or Ryan was just pulling plot lines out of thin air. And of course, Ryan spins all of this as protection for Blake and the general public, when it's really just a revenge mission because his ego got bruised by a leaked photo.
Ryan lost his mind. He was so angry. A photograph of him in makeup of Deadpool prompted a months-long, years-long tirade by him.
Then comes my favorite part, when Ryan starts playing hardball with the city like he's running a corporate shakedown. It's 2015, Deadpool's in pre-production, and Ryan, conveniently also a producer, suddenly realizes he's got leverage. He tells Vancouver officials basically, hey, I could film anywhere, New Orleans, Detroit, Europe, but I chose you. I love you. And I'm bringing you $37.5 million in revenue and over 1,000 jobs. Sounds generous, right? Except there's a catch. That generosity only flows if the city takes care of his Fedek problem.
Back in 2015 and 16, he claimed that he was hit by a car. And because this paparazzo took a photograph of Ryan in his Deadpool makeup before the film had come out, you know, where he looks like he's gone through.
That's not a community concern. That's the definition of quid pro quo bribery. Dress it up however you want, it's the same as saying, nice economy you've got here. Shame if something happened to it. And he didn't even try to hide it. It's right there in the letter. If they let Fedek run free, it could affect his decision to bring future projects to Vancouver. He's basically threatening to take his Hollywood toys and go home unless the city bends the knee.
With the understanding that he is a paparazzi, I chose at the time to not engage in a verbal conversation with Fedek and instead returned to my car and carried on to my destination.
And let's not pretend Vancouver officials didn't hear him loud and clear. They jumped right in, treating Ryan's every word like gospel, and Fedek was stuck in legal hell for more than 2 years. Charges didn't get dropped until 2017, and not because they proved anything, but because there was literally no evidence. 2.5 years of wasted time, taxpayer money, and public resources, all because Ryan couldn't handle one leaked photo.
So all of what he's saying is a complete lie. It doesn't match any of the evidence, but this is a completely fabricated story that didn't happen.
This is what happens when Hollywood egos collide with small-town starstruck politics. Ryan wasn't just selling them a film, he was selling them the fantasy of being in Ryan Reynolds' inner circle. And when that wasn't enough, he added a massive financial carrot to make sure they couldn't resist. Meanwhile, Blake gets to play the supportive wife role, smiling for the cameras while the legal war machine quietly works in her favor. And can we talk about the sheer hypocrisy here? These are the same people who posture as relatable, kind, and humble. The same people who go viral for cute couple jokes online. The same people who love playing the "we're just like you" card while wearing designer clothes worth more than your car. Behind the curtain, it's manipulation, leverage, and a willingness to use millions of dollars to crush someone they don't like. The whole thing reeks of insecurity. Ryan had to write a letter full of disproven accusations, drag his whole family into it, and wrap it all in a Hollywood morality tale just to justify going after one man. Blake gets to hide behind his narrative, letting him play the loud, righteous protector, while she sits in the background, maintaining her America's sweetheart act. And the judge? Well, let's just say if rulings were drinks, Judge Lyman's been serving the same cocktail over and verse, 90% Blake's favorite, 10% to make it look fair.
So for Blake, this was kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of situation. Why doesn't she want this to be public? What is she hiding?
They've turned what could have been an ignored paparazzi moment into an international case study in how celebrity privilege works. They've weaponized their fame, their money, and their influence, and then wrapped it all in the cozy packaging of being Hollywood's favorite couple. And that's the real scam. Not just the alleged bribe, but the branding that convinced people they were too sweet, too wholesome, and too relatable to ever pull something like this. If this is how they act when one unflattering photo leaks, imagine what they'd do if someone actually exposed something serious. Ryan already wrote a blockbuster-length police letter over makeup. Imagine the trilogy he'd crank out if someone caught them doing something genuinely shady. Oh wait, I guess we don't have to imagine anymore. Alright, let's pick up right where we left off. Because if you thought the first half of this saga was bad, this is where the hypocrisy goes into overdrive. So, law enforcement in Vancouver apparently decided Ryan Reynolds' imagination was more credible than actual evidence. No photographs, no videos, no credible witnesses, nothing. And yet, they ran with his wild accusations for over 2 years like it was gospel. Poor Richard Fedek spent that entire time in legal purgatory, fighting off a case built on Ryan said so. It wasn't until 2017 that the whole thing quietly fizzled out, because, shocker, there was zero proof. 2.5 years, gone. And when the charges were dropped, no apology, no accountability, not even a sheepish "our bad" from Blake or Ryan. They just walked away like they hadn't dragged someone through years of legal hell for sport.
And Fedek was not cleared of these charges until 2017. 2.5 years later, they withdrew the charges against him. Not guilty. No charges. Nothing. Because they had no evidence.
And Ryan, oh Ryan, he loves to paint himself as the ultimate family protector. Except, in his own words, he openly admits to chasing Fedek through a parking garage, 6 floors down and 6 floors back up, like some B-list action hero in a direct-to-DVD thriller. You claim you're terrified of this man, but you're literally running after him on foot? Which is it, Ryan? Is he dangerous, or is he your favorite cardio routine? The contradictions are endless. They swear they fear for their safety, yet they repeatedly confront Fedek in person. Most people, if they truly believed someone was a threat, would avoid them like the plague. These two? They can't seem to resist the face-to-face drama, and Hollywood's PR machine laps it up, turning the aggressors into martyrs. It's a magic trick we've all seen before. Rebrand the instigator as the victim, and hope the audience is too distracted by pretty faces to notice. And surprise, surprise, the judge seems perfectly happy to play along. Fast forward to July 31st, 2020, and here comes another M. Blake's deposition. 400 minus 8 pages, 392 to be exact, of sworn testimony, taken by Brian Friedman in New York. Justin Baldoni's there, probably making mental notes for his next inspirational Instagram post. They've even got a full audience. Steve Sarowitz, Melissa Nathan, Jennifer Ale, Jamie Heath. Blake's team knows this isn't some casual chat. It's a high-stakes moment.
As you know, Blake Lively is accusing Justin Baldoni's legal or lawyer for being a PR agent as well as an attorney. And the judge actually denied her that. And to quash the subpoena, Justin Baldoni's legal team added some information to say, hey, we're not part of this smear campaign.
That transcript gets attached to a court filing, and Blake's reaction is instant panic. They go nuclear, demanding it be removed, even though it's already sealed. You couldn't read it anyway, but apparently just knowing it's sitting there in the docket is too much for her to bear. The excuse? The media might cherry-pick quotes and twist her words, which is rich, considering Blake has no problem feeding carefully curated, PR-approved versions of her truth to outlets like the New York Times whenever it benefits her.
And Blake Lively actually admitted herself that the only smear campaign that's been going on lately is the one basically with Justin Baldoni defending himself.
And of course, Judge Lyman swoops in, like her personal legal fairy godmother, granting the request and striking it from the record. Once again, she gets exactly what she wants, with zero resistance from the bench. Another day, another ruling that mysteriously breaks in her favor. This leads right into her favorite card to play, the damned if you do, damned if you don't routine. Her PR spin is almost elegant in its cynicism. If she lets the deposition stand, critics will take it out of context. If she fights to hide it, she looks like she's covering something up. Either way, she positions herself as the victim of unfair scrutiny. And while she's busy playing 4D chess with her reputation, Justin Baldoni's team is planting the question in everyone's mind. What exactly is she so desperate to hide?
Blake Lively's team is accusing Justin Baldoni's team of leaking this deposition, although it was sealed so we couldn't see what was in it because they attached it to this document that ended up in the docket.
And the thing is, it's working, just not in the way she wants. Public perception is starting to turn, even among people who don't follow this case closely. When someone keeps insisting they're telling the truth but fights tooth and nail to keep their own words hidden, it doesn't exactly scream confidence. It screams damage control. The whole thing smells less like self-protection and more like a frantic scramble to plug leaks in a sinking ship. The longer she hides, the more it feeds suspicion. And honestly, if your sworn testimony can't survive daylight without being misinterpreted, maybe the problem isn't the daylight. Maybe the problem is what's actually in those 392 pages.
They want it to disappear from the docket. The first thing I was thinking was that why would you want that to disappear if that is your sworn statement of what really happened? Don't you want what really happened to be out there so people can actually see and hear your own words to explain what really happened on that set that traumatized you so much?
But Blake and Ryan don't seem worried about that. They've got their judge, their PR machine, and their quirky couple image still propped up enough to keep casual fans distracted. Meanwhile, anyone actually paying attention can see the cracks running straight through the whole act. This isn't about safety. It's not about justice. It's about control. Control of the narrative, control of the evidence, and control of the public perception they've spent years and millions of dollars manufacturing. And watching them work this hard to keep the truth out of sight, that tells you more than any leaked depositions ever could. All right, so now we've hit the part of this story where the drama doesn't just stay between Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and their personal paparazzi nemesis. Now it starts dragging in outside players. And Blake's choice of targets here? Let's just say she's not exactly aiming small. She fires off subpoenas at Perez Hilton, Candace Owens, and Andy Signore like she's the FBI taking down a crime ring. And not just, hey, could you answer a few questions type subpoenas. No, she's demanding the whole digital footprint, IP addresses, bank account info, every single piece of communication they've ever had with Justin Baldoni's team. Emails, texts, possibly carrier pigeon messages, all of it. The theory? That these people were being secretly paid to push anti-Blake narratives, which, let's be honest, is laughable. Candace Owens doesn't exactly need to take side gigs from Justin Baldoni just to make rent. The woman could probably buy the courtroom Blake's sitting in.
I don't understand how this is really a victory. So what happened was that Judge Lyman actually agreed with Blake Lively's team, oh, surprise, surprise, that this deposition should be struck from the docket, so it disappeared, so we can't see it. We couldn't read it anyways because it was already sealed.
And Perez? He's made a career out of stirring celebrity drama without a paycheck from anyone involved. If someone like Perez wants to roast you, he'll do it for free and post it on Instagram before lunch. Same with Andy Signore. These are people whose brands are built on being loud and unfiltered, not on collecting corporate-style consulting fees from rival camps. But of course, Blake's side spins this as just asking questions, when really it looks more like, let's accuse them of being bought so we can rummage through all their private stuff. Perez decides he's not going to just sit there and take it. He fights the subpoena in Nevada, which is a clever move. It forces Blake's team to fight on his turf, making their job a whole lot harder. Andy does the same in Florida. It's legal chess, not checkers. And every extra step slows Blake's lawyers down, which might be the only real justice in this whole mess.
So on Friday, there was a filing from Justin Baldoni's legal team because they wanted to quash the subpoena on their legal offices from Blake Lively's team, as you know.
Blake's camp, naturally, calls these moves PR stunts, which is rich, because coming from a team whose entire existence at this point revolves around optics, accusing someone else of pulling a stunt is like Ryan Reynolds accusing someone else of making too many sarcastic jokes. Critics see it differently. They call it what it is, a witch hunt. Blake isn't trying to defend her case here. She's trying to intimidate and discredit anyone who talks about her in a way she doesn't like. And speaking of Perez Hilton, this is where the whole thing takes a left turn into pure entertainment. Perez doesn't just fight back quietly. He asks for a protective order in New York, which, congratulations, instantly triggers a jurisdiction nightmare. Now the question is whether he'll have to fight Blake in New York instead of Nevada. And if that happens, it's game over on the whole make her work for it strategy. But here's where Perez shoots himself in the foot, and it's not because he doesn't know better, it's because he can't resist being Perez Hilton. His filings to the judge are full of insults and snark aimed directly at Blake, which is hilarious for those of us watching from the sidelines, but is basically begging the court to take you less seriously. You want to claim you're a legitimate journalist with First Amendment protections? Maybe don't hand the judge a document that reads like a YouTube comments section. Predictably, the judge is not amused, brands it disrespectful, and makes it clear this is not how you talk in his courtroom. And Blake's team? Oh, they pounce on this. They start pushing the narrative that Perez isn't a journalist at all. He's just an influencer, a gossip blogger, someone who shouldn't get the same protections the law gives to actual reporters, which, conveniently, would make it much easier for them to force him to hand over whatever they want. It's kind of wild, really. Perez might be one of the only people in this whole saga who isn't afraid to publicly call Blake out, and instead of debating him in the court of public opinion, her team's strategy is to strip away his legal defenses. It's not about proving him wrong, it's about making sure he can't fight back at all.
Why doesn't she want this to be public? What is she hiding? Which is exactly what we're thinking. So what is she hiding? I don't know. This whole thing is so ridiculous. And what they're doing, continuously doing, is accusing them of these PR tactics.
And all of this just exposes what Blake's lawsuit has really been about from day one. Publicly, it's dressed up as a noble quest to restore her reputation. But every single move she's made screams image management over truth-seeking. The accusations against Baldoni's side for running a smear campaign? Please. When your own playbook includes targeting critics, chasing down their bank records, and trying to redefine them out of journalistic protections, you've lost the moral high ground. It's almost poetic how much her tactics mirror Ryan's old bribery play. Back then, he used his influence and a fat $37.5 million budget to try to get the city of Vancouver to take out his personal enemy. Now, she's using subpoenas, PR framing, and legal maneuvers to go after hers. Different battlefield, same strategy. Control the narrative, punish anyone who doesn't cooperate, and weaponize whatever influence you've got left. At this point, Hollywood's golden couple doesn't look like two actors anymore. They look like political operatives running a scorched earth campaign. They're less America's sweethearts and more America's PR enforcers, complete with legal hit lists and the kind of spin you usually only see during election season. And that's the real fall from grace here. Once upon a time, Blake Lively was rom-com royalty. The Gossip Girl alum with the perfect hair, and Ryan Reynolds was the charming, sarcastic action star who could do no wrong. Together, they were the red carpet couple people pointed to when they wanted proof that Hollywood love could be both glamorous and relatable. Now their names come up in the same sentence as words like bribery, subpoenas, and deposition cover-ups. That $37.5 million bribe allegation is the kind of thing that doesn't just stain your public image, it rips the whole thing to shreds. And the deposition mess? That's like lighting the shreds on fire and handing out marshmallows. Fans are starting to catch on too. You can only hide behind curated Instagram posts and late-night talk show charm for so long before people start to ask why everything you do in court seems designed to keep actual facts hidden. And once those questions start, they don't go away. They grow, they spread, and they turn what used to be your audience into your jury. And maybe that's the irony of all this. Ryan and Blake have spent years perfecting their on-screen personas and off-screen PR image, but the role they're most committed to now isn't one anyone asked for. It's not a superhero, it's not a rom-com lead, it's a courtroom character. And unlike the movies, you don't get to yell cut when the scene gets uncomfortable. You just have to sit there, under the lights, while the world watches you sweat. And trust me, this drama's only getting messier. So hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell, and stick around for the next bombshell.